Hello, it is Mac here, and today I'm going to talk about the next Battlefield game coming out in 2016. So EA confirmed yesterday that the next Battlefield game will be released in 2016. So I'll have a link in the description if you'd like to go check out, this information, and it's from Game Informer, so I'm just going to read off of what they say. But if you'd like to go check it out, then there will be a link in the description. So the news came from the company's first quarter fiscal year 2016 earnings call, and EA's Chief Financial Officer Blake Jorgensen discussed the company's strategy for core titles, and he said, "What we have said is that our intention over the next couple of years is to have a first-person shooter as one of the core titles." And then he goes on to say, this year, obviously, it's for Star Wars Battlefront. Next year, it's another Battlefield title. So he says that it will be another Battlefield title. And this would actually kind of make sense. I mean, if you think about it, in 2013, we got Battlefield 4. Obviously, in 2015 already, we've gotten Battlefield Hardline, although Battlefield Hardline was supposed to come out in 2014 until it got delayed. Then later this year, we're going to begin Star Wars Battlefront. In 2016, we're going to begin a new Battlefield game. Now, they say a new Battlefield game, so we don't know what the game's going to be. We don't know if it's Battlefield 5, Bad Company 3. We don't know if it's Battlefield 2143. We don't know if it's a Battlefield Hardline 2 even. We don't know if it's going to be a new game, like a new, theme, or we don't know what it's going to be. But I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on this and kind of what I would like to see in the next Battlefield. Just kind of my ideas and, what I'd really like to see for the next Battlefield. Now, a lot of people would just assume Battlefield 5. Now, we don't know where Battlefield 5 would be. I mean, of course, Battlefield 4 took place in, a war between China, the US, and I think Russia was thrown in there for the multiplayer, but I don't think that they really had that big of a deal in the single player. I may be wrong because I haven't played the single player for Battlefield 4 in a while, but yeah, and honestly, I didn't really pay attention to the single player that much for Battlefield 4. So that's just my take on what the story was, and so honestly, it doesn't really seem like that story, could stay. I mean, we could maybe still be fighting China in Battlefield 5, depending on what year it is. If this game comes out in 2016, it could be very well near future. Maybe like 2020 or something like that. But we could also go way in the future. If you think about it, Final Stand was kind of a prequel to 2142, I guess you could say. With some future technology, and in that DLC. So we could maybe be seeing something like that, like a 2143 or something. Honestly, I don't think we would, though, because if we're going to be getting Star Wars Battlefront, that's already a pretty futuristic game. Of course, it's Star Wars, but it still has that sci-fi nature of that game. So if we're going to be getting like a Star Wars game, why would we be getting another, futuristic game? I just don't see where that would makes sense. Maybe it's just because I'm not a huge fan of the futuristic, nature of Final Stand, so that maybe that's why I don't really want it, like a 2143. I don't know. I really don't know where the next Battlefield could be set. Personally, I would love it if they went back to maybe World War II, because recently I've been playing another game called Red Orchestra 2. It's a PC game, and it's a PC first-person shooter set in World War II, and it's a very fun game. And I honestly would really like it if the next Battlefield game was set in that time, in World War II. And I think that would be very fun, because if you think about, we haven't really had many World War II games over the past few years. Especially, from the big names, Battlefield, Call of Duty, and all them. We haven't really had a World War II shooter in quite a while. So I feel like there are a lot of people that would really love that. I think, it would be a little bit slower. You'd obviously wouldn't have, assault rifles and jets and all that. But I still think it could work. And I think that would be a very nice change of pace. And, even if it's a World War II game, we could still have a lot of features that are from Battlefield 4. Levolution, that could be pretty cool in a World War II game. If you have the Commander, that could be pretty cool in a World War II game. All this stuff could work in a World War II game, I feel. Now, we could go even further back, but I doubt that we will, just because, I mean, if we went to, like, World War I, or even before then, I don't think that it would really be that fun, because either, there wouldn't be enough weapons, or just wouldn't be enough content for the game, or it would just get very stale. But I feel like a World War II game, they could mix it up. Obviously, you'd have very different locations in each map, which would be nice. And another thing is, like, if we go back in time, one question I have is, how would they work about reimagining maps and stuff? You know, reimagining stuff. Because, of course, Battlefield 3 got Back to Karkin DLC, and then Battlefield 4 got the Second Assault DLC. So, you know, of course, Second Assault was taking maps from Battlefield 3, and DICE OA is trying to get some older Battlefield maps into Battlefield 4 as well, on the CTE and stuff. So, it would probably make sense that the next Battlefield game will probably have reimagined maps from previous Battlefield games. Now, if it was a World War II Battlefield game, if the next Battlefield game was World War II, they could just take maps from 1942, which was another World War II game. They could take the maps from there and just put them in to the next Battlefield game. If it was World War II, they could do that, and that would kind of make sense. Although, I feel like a good solution to reimagining maps in a World War II game would be if they took the maps from Battlefield 4 and just reimagined them into a World War II setting. So let's take Propaganda. You know, it's set in North Korea. It's a very good map, in my opinion. I think a lot of other people really like the map. So let's say Propaganda, they just make it, you know, take place in, like, Stalingrad or something. You know, I feel like that could work, instead of, you know, having it in North Korea, because that wouldn't really make sense, because they didn't really have a part of it in the war. But they could just, you know, make the map, change it up a little bit, you know, have the same layout, but just change up the buildings and the scenery and stuff into a World War II game. You know, and they could do something like that. I think that would work well. So also, a lot of people have been speculating that it could be a Bad Company 3 type game. You know, a sequel to Bad Company 2, which we haven't heard of. Since Bad Company 2 came out a pretty long time ago, I don't know if we're going to get a Bad Company 3. Because they say that it's going to be a new Battlefield game. You know, I don't know if it's going to be a new theme, or if it's just going to be Bad Company 3. Now, one reason why I say it may not be Bad Company 3 is because if you look at the, you know, recent Battlefield games, you have Battlefield Hardline. Battlefield Hardline was a, you know, it wasn't really a Battlefield game. You know, not a lot of people really like that about, you know, Battlefield Hardline, how it wasn't really a Battlefield game. I personally really did like it, but I feel like a lot of people really didn't like it. So, with that game, you have, you know, all these stuff that just doesn't make sense in a Battlefield game, you know, because it's not a war game, it's a cops and criminals game. Sure, Bad Company 3 would be set in war, but it's still kind of a, you know, different theme from where Battlefield 4 would be. And they're two different games, basically. You know, Bad Company series is different than just the Battlefield series. So we'll have to see what happens there. I would really like it. I would really like a Bad Company game, you know, Bad Company 3 or something, but they do say that it's going to be a new Battlefield game, so I don't know what they're going to do with that. So, also, another time period that we could work on is maybe Vietnam. That could work, I guess. You know, we'll have to see that. A lot of people really did like the Vietnam DLC for Bad Company 2, so, you know, maybe a lot of people would really like that. But let me know in the comments, what time period would you like the next Battlefield to take place in? That's really what I've been talking about in this video. Not so much, you know, don't tell me, like, exactly everything you'd like to see in the game. But just let me know, like, what time period you'd like to see in the game. Because I think that's a very big part of the Battlefield series. You know, what time period, you know, could we go to? Because we've already been in World War II, we've already been in Vietnam, we've already been in the future, we've already been in modern times. Also, in another video, I may make another, you know, kind of wish list for the next Battlefield game. I don't know if I will yet, because of course the next Battlefield game won't be announced until probably E3 2016. Maybe a little bit before then, but that's, you know, probably after Mirror's Edge Catalyst, then they may start talking about the new Battlefield game coming in 2016. So, hope you enjoy. Feedback is always appreciated. I'll see you guys in the next video.